expensive, so they stay with the family just across the ridge, about a 45-minute walk over to the old city, 50-minute walk from the old city, and so it's convenient. And Jesus became very close with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Fast forward, Lazarus died when Jesus wasn't there, and he waits until the fourth day to show up. And Mary and Martha, if they had followed tradition, would have stayed home and received the support and words of sympathy from extended family and friends. When Martha hears Jesus is coming, she goes. So this is a very aggressive and unexpected act. She goes out, and there's no exchange of greeting recorded in John 11. She says, "If you had been here, my brother had not died." And it sounds edgy and rough. And she is simply rehearsing a statement that some were saying back at the house. We see that earlier, that some people at the house were saying, "Oh, if Jesus had only been here, he wouldn't have died." And so she's like wrestling this out, and she's saying, "Jesus, this is what you're going to meet when you come." And Jesus says, "Your brother will rise again." And Martha responds, and everything I want you to hear about Martha now, realize she is not the sophisticated theologian teaching on the temple steps. She is what the Hebrew calls an Am Haaretz, the ordinary people of the land. Us, common folk. And listen to her theology. Jesus says, "Your brother will rise again." She responds, "I know my brother will rise again in the last day." And then Jesus drops that incredible sentence, "I am the resurrection and life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? And Martha's response, this is in chapter 11, about verse 53. I want to get it precisely. Her response is so important because it makes a connection that will help us understand why this Bethany story is important. 11:50. Whoops. No, it's John 11. It's John 11. Here it is. Jesus says, "Do you believe this?" That's verse 26. John 11:27. "Yes, Lord, I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God who is to come into the world." What she is articulating there, again, remember her status, ordinary citizen, is, if I would meet somebody who would raise the dead, I know I would have met the Messiah. That's how she answers the question, right? That's so important because it is a mark of Jesus' identity as the one promised in the Old Testament, that he raises the dead. Now, he has done this before. He has done it in the north at Capernaum. He's done it in the north at Nain. And never before was there this dramatic pushback, both positive, this dramatic response, both positive and negative, that we're going to hear about in just a moment. But when you raise the dead, and you do it on which day? Fourth. Yeah. Remember, they go to the tomb, and Martha, and Jesus says, "Take the door away, take that blocking stone out of the way." And Martha goes, "Nope, nope, nope, it's day 4 and he smells." That's her response. And then Jesus says, "Nope, do it." They move it away. He calls Lazarus out. And this miracle is different in 2 ways from any of the other resurrection miracles he's done before. 1, because it's done on the 4th day, and 2, because it's done in proximity to Jerusalem. And when he does this miracle in the south, the response looks like this, 45, John 11:45. "Therefore many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him." Jesus had been here many times before in his earthly ministry, but this catalyzed a new element of Judean faith, a new cadre, if you will, of disciples here. That's very positive. But there were folks here who didn't appreciate that escalation in Jesus' popularity. 46. Some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. What are we accomplishing, they asked. Here's this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. Those personal pronouns signal how these Sadducean aristocratic priests are feeling. Then one of them, named Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, spoke up. You don't know anything at all. Don't you realize it's better for you that one man die for the people than the whole nation perish? Sounds real altruistic, doesn't it? But there's this total undercurrent of selfishness. Wouldn't it be better if one guy died and we wouldn't lose all that we built up here in terms of our wealth, in terms of our prestige and influence? And he didn't say this on his own, because that's what we might expect. But as high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So, ready for the big one? So, conclusion, from that day on, they plotted to take his life. What is it that catalyzed the Passion Week events that brought Jesus to cross and tomb? He raised Lazarus in Bethany on the 4th day. If you raise people on the same day as they died in Capernaum or Nain in the north, that doesn't catalyze the pushback. Soon as you raise the dead 4th day in Bethany, now suddenly we have both a positive response where Judeans are going, maybe there's something more here than we realize to this guy who's been teaching in the temple. And we've got now the plot advancing by the Sadducean and Pharisee leadership, advancing in a way that's going to move Jesus to cross and to tomb. Yeah? That's a place story. Now,